Welcome to Sports Guy Talking. I am Dustin Tran, your host, as I am joined by guest Spencer Broad today to talk about the topic of James Harden flopping yet again in the NBA playoffs. James Harden was expected to be a difference maker for the Philadelphia 76ers in the NBA playoffs when they traded for him, but he did not fulfill that role effectively. Now there are more questions than answers in terms of what will happen to James Harden on the Philadelphia 76ers. Look, is he going to opt into his final year of his contract, or is he going to opt out and ask for a max contract, or that the 76ers should not even offer him a contract, or at least a big contract, to stay with the 76ers long-term wise? Before I say anything else, though, I want to present you guys with the topic question. So, here it is. What is your reaction to James Harden's poor performance in the NBA playoffs?
So, I'm gonna go. Quick thing. It's like James Harden when he came over to Philadelphia in mid-February, like everyone had high hopes that Philadelphia they were going all in for this championship, but as we saw last night, like they were officially eliminated. And while coaching is a big part of that, like James Harden needed to step up for the series, and he just didn't at all.
Yeah, facts, man. When you look at James Harden, man, he flopped big time in these NBA playoffs. And I told y'all that before the series started against the Miami Heat. I had on a different guest at this time. He couldn't make it today, but I told him in the video, hey, James Harden's going to have trash efficiency and he's going to put up trash numbers. But even I didn't think that James Harden was going to score under 20 points per game in this series against the Miami Heat. Let me throw out some numbers for you, what James Harden did against the Miami Heat. James Harden averaged 18.2 points per game on 40.5% shooting, 35.7% for the three-point line. Although I will give him credit, he did knock down 93.8% of his free throws, but he only had 7 assists and 6 rebounds, and he had 5 turnovers. That, for a playoff series,
that just can't fly.
If can't fly. Harden, can't fly.
Yeah, if you're trying to build up a legacy, and you average 18.2 points in a playoff series against one of the best defenses in the league, like that just it's just the opposite of what you really want to do. Like, other than game 4 where he was 8 for 18 from the field, still not great efficiency, by the way, 31 points. Like, he really disappointed, especially in last night's game.
Facts, bro. Facts. When you look at James Harden, man, that dude looked washed up. Clearly, this guy cannot drive to the basket the way that he once did. And that's what happens when he'd be hanging out at them strip clubs. All right, I bet you he probably was at the strip clubs in Miami. That's
Russell
why
Westbrook, yeah, I wouldn't be shocked.
That's why James Harden was so terrible every time he went to Miami. Games 1, 2, and 5. He always looked actually throughout the NBA playoffs, he's been looking mismatched. But especially in games 1, 2, and 5, he played really awful. James Harden looked like an inefficient, slow, overweight guard. I mean, that's really the best way to describe James Harden.
Perfect way to put him.
Yeah, and exactly.
His season, it's not only been a disappointment, but it's like, I feel like he sometimes makes the players around him worse. Like, we kind of saw, like, in Brooklyn, like, he made the players, like, he caused problems in the locker room, it seemed like. And now in Philly, while hasn't been a big topic of discussion yet, like there are huge question marks going into the summer. And Morey has a lot of decisions to make about Harden's future. Like, do you extend him? Do you keep him? Do you let go? Do you trade him? Like if I'm their GM, like I'm torn. Like, I'm torn between a lot of these options. But like he's stinkers in the playoffs. That's gonna be a legacy tarnisher unless he somehow comes back next year and wins the ring.
And let me go ahead and ask you this. I think you can answer this rather easily. What would you do? What do you think is going to happen to James Harden? You think he's going to opt into his contract or opt out?
I think he opts in.
Yeah, if I was James Harden, I'd opt in, especially after that playoff series, because if you opt out, I mean, nobody in their right mind should overpay for James Harden after that dismal playoff performance.
Yeah, I don't think any team is that stupid to pay $40 million a year.
Maybe the Sacramento Kings, though.
Yeah, yeah, probably the Kings with all the bonus crap that went on, but
I was just trying to crack up a joke because we know the Sacramento Kings, whatever they do, they make zero sense in their team building process. But yeah, anyways, though, I actually think that James Harden is going to opt out. I don't think that he should. If I was his agent, I'd tell
I
him to
agree.
opt in. But I actually think that James Harden is going to opt out. And I think that Philly, man, they're going to be torn. I think they're going to give him the max. I really think they will do it. I don't think they should do it at all, but I think they're
I
going
think
to
they're
do it.
desperate,
Yeah,
really
and
desperate
when
for
you're desperate for something, you do stupid things. And that's what the Philadelphia 76ers are on the verge of doing. They just wasted away an MVP caliber season. I know he didn't win the MVP, but they wasted an MVP
he was
caliber
still
season of
he was still
Embiid.
nonetheless a top two center in the NBA. They had a rising guard who I think is going to be a star next year, Tyrese Maxey. They didn't have much aside from that, but still, like I feel like the Harden move, like I don't think it was necessary. Like I don't. I think without Harden, they would still be in the same spot they are now.
But I understand why they had to get James Harden because of the Ben Simmons fiasco and everything like that. It
Oh
looks
yeah,
like,
100%. Like
yeah,
they need to move Ben Simmons. He was causing problems there, but like it's been a lose-lose trade for both sides, and like
yeah, nobody won that trade. Players, coaches, nobody won that side. Nobody won at all. So that's how I'm looking at this James Harden like situation. Man, I just don't really know what they're going to do. To think that James Harden this year in the NBA playoffs, he averaged close to 40 minutes per game and he put up 18.6 points per game in the NBA playoffs on horrible efficiency, 40.5% from the field, 36.8% from the three-point line. That is unacceptable. I know that his fanboys, they keep talking about, oh, he's got an injured hamstring. Well, I'll tell
but
you this,
like
man.
at some point, like having an injury doesn't make you make dumb decisions. Like it's the
Mhm.
same thing with football and every other sport. Like just because you're hurt doesn't mean you like don't
Mhm.
play. Like
He's
you're
making a
like
lot of mental mistakes, James Harden. And I'll say
like
this as well. Man, that hamstring injury, man, that was like what, a year ago? I mean, he's got to have the longest hamstring injury I've ever seen in my life. I say that he's just been out of shape and he's just not been conditioning. That's how I'm looking at it. I'm giving James Harden F for the NBA playoffs for how he has performed.
I'll give him a D only because like I like what he's been as a playmaker. Like although the turnovers have been an issue, like that's been an upside for him. Like his defense has been trash, offense has been pretty bad, shooting wise has been abysmal for his standards. But like a D is terrible. Do not get me wrong. And like Harden, like Harden's going to be back with Philly next year. There's a 95% chance that's the case in my opinion. And I'm not expecting much. I'm not expecting much.
Yeah, and that's just kind of how I'm looking at it. So I feel bad for the 76ers fans that had to go through this, especially with the process and everything like that. Now they got to deal with the aging star player or whatever you want to call James Harden at this point.
Yeah, he's still a star, but he's declining rapidly.
Yeah, and I don't see how it's going to get any better. Guys that are out of shape by his age, they're not going to all of a sudden get in shape. So that's how I'm looking at it. Any final thoughts on what you think about James Harden?
Yeah. One more thought before we wrap up. Just want to say that with Harden, it's just a matter of like timing. Like like Houston got rid of him, in my opinion, at the perfect time. Like he was just starting to get out of shape, but he was still playing at a high level then. They got rid of Westbrook right around the same time, and they went rebuild mode. They did the right thing. Like Philly, like I know they needed to get rid of Ben Simmons, but to get Harden and for him to play like that, it's a big mistake.
Mm, yeah, I 100% agree with you. Well, thanks for being on the show, man. Greatly
Of course.
appreciate it. Make sure you follow his socials, Spencer Broad. All right, so he has a Twitter and Instagram. His Instagram is at Spencer Broad. Then his Twitter is at Spencer_Broad. All right, make sure you go ahead and follow his socials. I'll put that in the description box below. Thanks for being on the show, man.
Of course.
Yeah, great seeing you. Hopefully you can come back here again as a guest soon enough.
100%.
All right, see ya, bro.
Take care.
Yep. Bye. That was Spencer Broad that you guys just heard. All right, or should I rather say Spencer Broad? All right, so he basically believes that James Harden flopping for the Philadelphia 76ers was horrible for all parties involved. I agree with that as well. I could pile on James Harden even more, but I'm not going to because I think you guys basically get the point about what we are saying about James Harden. Either way, though, he validated my hot take that I made a while ago when I said that James Harden was going to play terrible against the Miami Heat. So that's how I'm looking at it. So that is why James Harden's poor performance in the NBA playoffs was damaging in terms of his all-time legacy. Remember, go ahead and subscribe to Sports Guy Talking. Like the video and please comment down below. If you guys do that, I may shout you guys out in a future video. Make sure to follow me on Instagram at Dustin S. Tran and at Sports Guy Talking. Also, go follow me on Twitter at Dustin S. Tran. Again, go ahead and do those things that I just told you guys to go do. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the content that was just produced. Peace out. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to Sports Guy Talking to get the latest from the show, Tran Talks. Go ahead and like the video. Comment down below. Check the description box on the video in order to follow my socials. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from Tran Talks on the YouTube channel, Sports Guy Talking.